Hello everyone, welcome to Daily Current Affairs Analysis of Shankar IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss the current affairs of 7th of September 2025. Before going into the topic, please subscribe to the channel so you will be getting the regular updates and very relevant information for the UPSC current affairs. And also share it to your friends and comment if you have any doubts and like this video. So what are the topics of discussion today? So we'll be discussing certain topics like infant mortality rate. So what is the infant mortality rate right now in our country? And the thing is, it has dropped to the historic level. That is a main advantage. So we'll be seeing how it dropped and is it same for other states. So everything we'll be discussing. Then what is sinkhole in urban areas? So we are seeing incidents where the sinkholes are suddenly coming up and popping out of the roads, and we'll be seeing what are those. Then we'll be talking about United Nations General Assembly. So what is that? What are their functions? And what is the relevant current affairs regarding that right now? Then we'll be discussing antimicrobial resistance and STI. So what is this antimicrobial resistance? What are the causes, impacts? Everything we'll discuss. And finally, some topics which are of preliminary focus. So we'll be discussing these topics. So we'll go to the first topic today. So the first topic we are going to discuss today is about the India's infant mortality rate, and it has hit a historic low of 25. So we'll see what is infant mortality rate and how do you understand the numbers and what are the struggles faced by different states, how it has been achieved or still what has to be done, everything we'll discuss today. So before going into the topic, you should know what is infant mortality rate. The definition is very, very important. Because when you come across many of the census or if you are coming across any of the reports, you will be coming across certain terminologies which in turn will reflect in the preliminary examination. In that case, what is infant mortality rate? So infant mortality rate is the number of deaths of infants under 1 year of age. So this is very important. So we are not talking about child mortality rate, we are talking about infant mortality rate. In that case, infant here means 1 year below, like before reaching, like from birth till 1 year. Per 1000 live births, which means if 1000 children are born, how many of them are alive after 1 year? That is the measurement. This is the measurement. So infant mortality rate. It shows various factors. Like by addressing the infant mortality rate, we will address the health of the mother. Very importantly, health of the mother, nutritional factors in our country, and also hospitals, institutionalization, institutionalized deliveries, everything like how is the health sector, everything will be understood based on this infant mortality rate. Developed countries, lesser the infant mortality rate is. So that is something we should understand. And is also considered a key indicator, as I told you, health status, quality of healthcare services in a country or state, etc. is understood through infant mortality rate. So national status, what is the national status right now? So India's infant mortality rate of 2023 is 25 per 1000 live births, which means 1000 children are born, 25 children are losing their life, but still this 25 is not a small number, but still historically we have reached the lowest. Fine, so that is the concept here. So historically we have reached the lowest because in 1971 the infant mortality rate was 129, approximately 80% of decline in 5 decades. 5 decades is 50 years we have seen right now. Just we have reached an 80% of decline. We should give it to ourselves that we are improving in terms of the health status. And decadal drop. So compared to the last decade, which means we are right now 2020. So we are talking about from 2010 to 2020. What is the reduction? Almost 37.5% of reduction in the infant mortality rate we have achieved. So out of the past 5 decades, it is 80%. And the last decade, it is 37.5%. So these points will be very helpful in terms of writing mains examination. Even in prelims, I can ask you, like compared to the last decade, we have reduced 37.5% of infant mortality rate. 37.5 is a very big number, and in the examination, you might have a doubt. But keep it in mind, yes, we have achieved a 37.5% of decline in terms of infant mortality rate just in last decade. So who are the best performers? We should definitely know. And Manipur has just 3 So this is the concept. So what I told you, 25 is the average of the nation. But Manipur we see is just 3 per 1000 live births, which is the lowest in our country. Then comes Ladakh. See, Ladakh has very less number of infant mortality rate. And compared to, when you are comparing about the bigger states, like Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, among the bigger states, we see Kerala has the lowest, which is 5. So there is a lesson in terms of 10th standard, where we talk about development. In that we speak about the infant mortality rate and how Kerala stands at the top in terms of controlling the infant mortality rate. And Goa and Sikkim, 6. Chandigarh and Puducherry, it is 7. So these are the lowest, best performance compared to every state in the country. And who are the states who are lagging behind? You can see here Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Odisha and Assam, Jharkhand, Rajasthan. See, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh is 37 per live births, which is, more than, like at least 10 more than the national average. So these are the states who are lagging behind and who are also struggling. So what is this about rural-urban divide? So they say that in the rural it is 28 and urban it is 18. See, the urban areas are performing better compared to the rural areas, and obviously we know what might be the reason. There are various factors. So like healthcare facility accessibility, then we can even bring in points regarding the cultural concept like resistance to institutional deliveries, and we also have other issues like personals not available, trained personals not available in terms of healthcare, or we can talk about nutritional status of women in rural areas. So many factors you can include as a cause that there is a divide between the urban and rural areas in terms of infant mortality rate. So babies born in rural area are 50% more likely to die. See, 50% more likely to die before age 1 compared to the urban babies. That is a concept here, which is definitely not fair. So limited causes are limited hospital access, shortage of trained healthcare workers, delayed medical care, and please also add resistance to institutional deliveries. Fine. So Janani Suraksha Yojana scheme is something which concentrates on it. So the major aim of Janani Suraksha Yojana is to bring in institutional deliveries. So through institutional deliveries and giving them nutrition, the infant mortality rate would be dropped. So that is a major aim of Janani Suraksha Yojana. So when you talk about infant mortality rate, please mention about it. So Kerala shows almost no rural-urban gap, indicating equal healthcare access. So whenever we talk about rural and urban divide, please include this, because healthcare is a social capital. Healthcare is a very important form of investment in terms of human resource. So we want human capital, we definitely want a better healthcare. So what are the initiatives? As I mentioned, Janani Suraksha Yojana, it's a cash incentive for institutional deliveries under National Health Mission to reduce maternal and infant deaths. And Janani Sishu Suraksha Karyakram. So Suraksha is protection. So Janani is a mother. So Janani Sishu means the mother and the child, and we are trying to protect them. So under this we have free delivery, medicines, diagnostics, diet and transport for mothers, sick infants up to 1 year. Then we have India Newborn Action Plan, which has come into picture from 2014, and this targets single digit neonatal mortality rate. So neonatal mortality rate is about the born child. So infant is still 1 year. Neonatal is the born child we are talking about. Stillbirth by 2030, and stillbirth should be in the single digit, and focus on newborn care, breastfeeding and infection control. Breastfeeding is an important aspect because it takes care of the immune system, and also it ensures nutritional availability to the children. So these are the major criteria why breast care or breastfeeding is promoted among the institutional deliveries. So Rashtriya Bal Swasthya Karyakram 2013, which is child screening for 4Ds. What are the 4Ds? Defects, diseases, deficiencies, delays. Very important. So I'm repeating what are the 4Ds. Defects, diseases, deficiencies, delays, and so that we can go for the early treatment. And Poshan Abhiyan, finally, very important. So which is very much concentrating on malnutrition, promoting breastfeeding, complementary feeding and maternal child nutrition. So under this portion abhiyan, we have fortified foods which helps in holistic nutrition availability. Because food security is not just availability of food, but availability of quality food which is nutritious. That is the basis, that is the concept about food security, and Poshan Abhiyan is one of the major schemes which works on food security. So now we'll go to the next topic. The next topic we are going to discuss about is why do sinkholes form in urban areas? So very important topic. So what is a sinkhole? Sinkhole is like sudden collapse of the land and specifically road or any place. And what happens? It will lead to many accidents as you are seeing in the picture. This road, specifically it happens during a rainy season. And what happens? Sudden collapse of the ground and there is a very big hole that is forming up and the vehicles might fall into that, causing accidents, sometimes loss of property and leads to loss of life also. So in this topic, we are going to discuss how sinkholes are formed, what are the impacts and how are we going to address it. So sudden collapse on the ground surface when soil or rock beneath the streets, buildings or pipelines gives away is called a sinkhole. So it can form naturally, but in cities they are often linked to human activities. Because how are we deciding, how are we constructing, how are we managing the land beneath is what will lead to sinkhole formation. So let's see this. So sediments. So majorly this happens in terms of sedimentary rocks because the rocks are soluble. Rocks contains minerals which are soluble in water. So eventually what happens, there is this solubility taking place, erosion taking place. And after many days what happens, there will be a sink. So we can see the cavity forming up which is building up and suddenly one day because of pressure on the top layer it might collapse and fall inside. So this is how the sinkholes are formed. So one thing we should keep it in mind is that what is the nature of the surface beneath? If it contains sedimentary rocks like limestone or gypsum etc. which are soluble in water, it might lead to this form of situation in the future. So this is a picture of sinkhole. So you can see how huge it is and definitely what might be the impacts are something we can imagine. And why do sinkhole form in urban areas? So we are just discussing the natural reasons first. So many cities are built on the karst terrain. So what do I mean by karst terrain is that it has limestone, gypsum and salt bedrock. So these are dissolved in terms of water and there is a cavity forming underground. So this sometimes what happens, rainwater or leaking pipes also will lead to a void forming up underneath the ground and eventually leading to sinkhole formation. And what are the causes, anthropogenic causes let's say? First is infrastructure stress. So old or broken pipes and then let's say broken water, main sewer lines. They will leak for years. So it is not something that happens in a year or two. So it is it has been happening for many years, but we are not having any terms of addressing the issues. Sometimes traffic, building foundations, tunneling. So these all add pressure on the weakened ground, leading to further collapse. And rainfall and flooding, intense rain and improper drainage. So this is also a major issue. So urban areas are now more prone to floods and other issues, and one of the major issues improper drainage leading to sinkhole formation, sudden collapse, unexpected danger leading to no time to think what has to be done, no time to escape. So poor urban planning, a major reason that we can quote for sinkhole. Paving large areas without proper drainage. So many roads constructed but without any proper drainage, etc. So building on geologically unstable zones, ignoring natural land characteristics. So all these things set stage for the future sinkholes. So what are the measures? Urban planning. So we should avoid building on unstable terrains. Drainage has to be proper. We should be having a regular monitoring. When there is a construction or when there is a road paved. So what we have to do, a regular checkup or regular inspection has to be done. And proper regulation has to be also put up. So environmental impact assessment, like how we do environmental impact assessment, we should also see how it works. So what is the soil based construction codes that are present, and then restriction of groundwater overuse also should be taken care of. So now we'll discuss the next topic. We're going to discuss the third topic of today, which is our Prime Minister Modi is to skip high-level United Nations General Assembly session, which is supposed to happen from September 23rd to 29th, but our Foreign Affairs Minister, Mr. Shankar, will address the assembly instead. So we have to know, this is a very important topic because United Nations General Assembly's 80th session opens on September 9th of 2025 and where? In New York. Very importantly, where it is taking place, it's in the New York 80th session on September 9 of 2025. So what is the theme? Better Together, 80 years and more for peace, development and human rights. We know there are so many issues to discuss like Israel-Hamas war, Ukraine, Russia war, so many issues to discuss, and it is definitely going to influence on the direction of geopolitical status. And what are the special meetings? So 80th anniversary of United Nations on September 22. Then there is 30th anniversary of Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action on Gender Equality 1995. And Climate Summit September 24 convened by the United Nations Security General Guterres, so platform for updated climate action plans. And there are other high-level meetings also like Sustainable Economy Summit, Non-Communicable Diseases and Mental Health, AI Governance Dialogue, Rohingya Crisis and Nuclear Disarmament Day. So many things to take place and so many current affairs within this particular topic. So in general, what is United Nations General Assembly? So it's a principal organ of United Nations established in 1945. So each of 193 member will get one vote. So sovereign equality is given. And what is the function? So according to UN Charter Article 10 to 22, so it discusses on global peace and security. So the Assembly's major function is to discuss on global peace and security, except where United Nations Security Council is active. Other than that, it approves the UN budget, elects non-permanent members of United Nations Security Councils, ECO, SOC, ICJ judges. So all these elections, appointments are all taken care by the United Nations General Assembly. And it adopts non-binding resolutions. So that is also very important. So resolutions are non-binding in nature. So sessional tradition opens every September 2nd Tuesday, and Brazil speaks first, followed by the United States of America because they are the host. And head of the state or government and foreign ministers or permanent representatives also will be joining the session. So, and we should know the relationship between India and United Nations General Assembly. India being the founder member of UN from 1945 and the regular participant at the United Nations General Assembly debate. We often highlight global South concerns. We all know. So India is trying to become the head. India is trying to lead the United, global South. So in that case, India will always voice for global South concerns like reform in United Nations Security Council, and India as a G4 candidate, climate justice, counter-terrorism and maritime security, etc. And India also co-chairs thematic groups on peacekeeping, digital governance, sustainable development. We are one of the largest contributors to the peacekeeping force of United Nations. And yes, we are also co-chair many thematic groups. And next topic we are going to discuss is rising antimicrobial resistance in sexually transmitted infection being seen in India. It's a major threat because what we are seeing here is two major issues and now combined together being a very bigger threat. So one is antimicrobial resistance. As World Health Organization has announced, it is the next pandemic. And now we are seeing antimicrobial resistance in STIs, sexually transmitted infections, which is a major concern. So India is witnessing a rise in sexually transmitted infections, specifically syphilis we are talking about. Because antimicrobial resistance, weak drug supply chains, patchy surveillance and stigma are worsening the crisis. Because when it is a sexually transmitted infection, the case reported itself is very less. Because in India it's a taboo. Discussion about that is a taboo in our country. So this leads to major issues. This threatens India's elimination of vertical transmission goals, which is preventing from mother to child transmission. This can be a question. Elimination of vertical transmission goals in terms of sexually transmitted infection means we are talking about that being transmitted from mother to child, and how are we going to address it? So syphilis is caused by a bacterial infection. So it is Treponema pallidum. So it is transmitted through sexual contact and also vertical transmission with mother to child, congenital, a major issue. So primarily what it causes, what are the symptoms? The primary stage is painless sore, and next secondary stage would be rash, fever and swollen nodes, and later no symptoms, infections would be hidden, and tertiary finally it might lead to organ damage like heart, brain and nerves, etc. So how do we diagnose it is through blood test and sore examination. And what is the treatment is antibiotics, penicillin is given. So how do we prevent it? So when we talk about any disease, prevention is the first major concept that we should keep it in mind. In that case, safe sex, screening and partner treatment. Here we are talking about the contraceptives and also partner treatment. Since it's a major taboo in our country, so even one person like is affected and is not able to say it outside will be a major issue. So here this culture plays a major role in terms of spreading this disease in the country. So globally, World Health Organization in 2022 has stated that 8 million new syphilis infections worldwide are arising, including 1.1 million in pregnant women. And congenital syphilis rates are almost 500 plus cases per 100,000 live births, 500 plus cases. And stillbirths, neonatal deaths, prematurity and birth defects are major risk here. So this is a major issue, and just imagine how it would become even more worse when antimicrobial resistance comes into picture. Because we see the treatment here is antibiotics. When treatment is not working, it is going to be very, very worse. So challenge in India, persistent syphilis among pregnant women with state 5 variation is seen here, and rising gonorrhea, so including drug resistant strains are found, which is again another STI, and congenital syphilis burden is a major issue because of patchy surveillance. So what do I mean by patchy surveillance? It is not consistent. So just a random sample is taken and a surveillance is done, and we start believing that the surveillance has been done everywhere. So patchy surveillance is a major issue. So what are the problems? The primary healthcare services, the diagnostic specifically is limited here, and asymptomatic infections like chlamydia, gonorrhea are like asymptomatic. So what happens? We miss them. So when there is no symptom, nobody is going to report it and it might get missed up. So what has to be done? Regular checkup has to be done. What we call it as sexual hygiene. It should be a part of sexual hygiene, checking every time about how the health is. And weak partner notification system is a major issue. Drug shortages, especially benzathine penicillin, and no systematic AMR tracking for STIs. So when it comes to sexually transmitted infection, the AMR tracking is very weak. So what are the measures? So World Health Organization recommends dual HIV syphilis rapid test in antenatal clinics. Very important. So when there is a pregnancy reported, immediately the HIV syphilis rapid test has to be done so that the child at least can be saved from vertical transmission of diseases. And benzathine penicillin G, treatment of choice for syphilis in pregnancy, and no AMR surveillance for gonorrhea. More AMR surveillance for gonorrhea has to be done. So expert priorities for India: make dual HIV test routine, and then we have to build in more platforms for checking and controlling STIs at district level labs, and ensure same day testing, counseling and treatment. So once testing is done and we are giving them the report, they might not show up again for treatment or counseling since it's a taboo. They might get the resistance in their mind will not allow them to take any treatment. But if we have a same day treatment, so not allowing them to go outside and come back, instead we are giving them the treatment immediately, it might reduce the burden of infection and build buffer stocks of key drugs. So that is the backup stocks I'm talking about. And also expand culture and molecular AMR testing linked to treatment advisories. So it will improve more efficiency in terms of diagnostics. And social strategy is very important because since, as I mentioned, culture plays a major role. So here social strategies are also very important. because stigma reduction through youth-friendly services, also self-testing options. So this will give more privacy, leading to more confidence in terms of taking the treatments. And awareness campaigns in local languages, confidential digital partner notification services, very important. So what happens, what do I mean by this is, if there is a person who is infected, the partner will be notified, but in a confidential way. So this will lead to reduction in terms of many of the issues in the society. Stronger integrated STI surveillance system is the need of the time. Now we are going to discuss on topics which specifically focuses on preliminary examination. So recently researchers have found a new orchid plant. So this orchid plant is found in Arunachal Pradesh because it is known to be found in Myanmar, and now we have found it out. We have discovered it in the Arunachal Pradesh also. So this is Gastrosicillus pichai. So what should we know about it is because it will bloom only in Myanmar, but we have found it here also. So it was found in the altitude of 1200 meters in Vijay Nahar, one of the country's remotest administrative circles bordering Myanmar. So genus Gastrosicillus. So we should know about the orchids. They are epiphytes. So epiphytes are the best example for the symbiotic relationship of commensalism. So what happens here is that one species, that is the orchid, gets benefited, but the other species, that is the plant on which, or the tree on which the orchid grows, it is neither benefited nor affected. So it offers the mechanical support, whereas the orchid gets the sunlight. So this is a major relationship between the plant, the orchid, and the other tree. So this is a very best example for commensalism. So we might get question related to some commensalism or even related to this species. So next topic we are going to talk about is a unified RERA portal. So it is a common platform to integrate the state's RERA websites. I'll tell you what is RERA websites. So it is launched by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs to enhance the transparency and facilitate best practice sharing among the states and UTs. So what is RERA? So it's a real estate regulatory authority. So it is established under, it's a statutory body. So it is established under Real Estate Regulation and Development Act of 2016. The major aim is to protect the home purchases and also boosting the real estate investments. So what are the benefits? It will standardize the carpet area. So it will reduce the risk of insolvency of the builders, because right now it's a major issue because the population is increasing, the population density is increasing, there are more construction and real estate business going on. So regulation is very important, and this Real Estate Regulatory Authority takes care of it. Next is enhanced anti-doping testing in sports. So India develops a rare reference material for enhanced anti-doping testing in sports. So what is the reference material here? It is methadone long-term metabolite. So it is developed by the National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research with the National Dope Testing Agency. So to address unavailability and expensive of reference materials by producing 22 such specialized reference materials that are not commercially available. So this is how we test like the reference, how much has to be present in the blood and what is present in the blood. So compared to that, we will know whether doping has taken place or not. So methadone, so it's an orally active anabolic androgenic steroid. So it's a steroid and misused as a performance enhancing drug in the sports. The major issue in terms of sports is performance enhancing drugs. So introduced to market in 1960s, but later it has been withdrawn from the market. So it is prohibited by the World Anti-Doping Agency. So using a doping agent is not fair. It will enhance the performance, yes, but are you really competitive? That is definitely not true. So next is National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research. So what is NIPER? It's a group of nationally recognized institutions in India. So it is an autonomous body under the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. We all should understand pharmaceuticals does not come under, that is Department of Pharmaceuticals does not come under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. We might think that way. No, it comes under Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Very important concept. So the aim is to focus on advanced studies, research and also training in various aspects. So we have completed today's discussion. So once again, I am reminding you all to subscribe to this channel for regular updates and also comment if there is any doubt and share this video, and do not forget to give a like. Thank you so much.